British who believed, I should read you Cornwallis's definition of property. Lord Cornwallis, who was the Governor General during the British East India Company period, he said in 1990s, he created the permanent settlement in Bengal. His justification was that the legislature in England has invariably promoted the good ends of civil society. That we make the best laws, the legislature makes laws. We promoted the good ends of the civil society. How have we done that? By making sure that with the wise and orderly maxim of assigning to everything capable of ownership a legal and determinate owner. That we don't have this jumble of conflicting rights and reducing and increasing and so on. You can have all kinds of disputes. We will give India, we will modernize India into being a place of private property. And that is why when we talk about property rights being there in the past, it's a little bit peculiar because the word property, in its current sense of being a commodity, land is bought and sold. Land is cut up into plots. By, agricultural land can become, land use is changed and you can grow a colony of houses on it. So land has become a commodity and it has to have a determinate owner. And this ownership is formally given in the shape of a title. It's a piece of paper that absolutely and completely defines who owns this. And in the time of the British, it also said how much revenue was to be due on this land. They were interested. They're turning from traders into a state to collect. You see, the whole company, the East India Company, becomes from a multi-trading corporation, is becoming a state. They're making their own coin. They were already doing war and peace, making treaties. So these are functions of state, not of a trading company. So they have actually become an informal state, and they want and they give to the Punjab a completely new idea of ownership of land. Now, I say it's dynamic because the British in Bengal put in the big zamindari system. The zamindar, huge, they had 3,000, 4,000, 30,000 acres because they mistook the tax collector for the owner. So if he said, I have 90 villages under my control, they would say, you own it, here's your title, you will give us this much revenue. They're only interested in the revenue part, not in the fundamental revolution they are causing in the countryside by creating ownership. Now, if the Rayat, the peasant, doesn't pay his due, if he's sick or his oxen has died or his mother is not well and he hasn't been able to work, he will lose his land because his title will be taken. We'll see how that happens. Okay. So now when they come to the Punjab, they don't find that zamindari system fits. They revert instead to the Rayatwari system, which they had already implemented in the presidency of Madras, as they called it. So now they say that the farmer, the tiller, the son of the soil, the tiller will get the right to property. So what they create is a whole swarm of people with small plots, 3 to 4 to 5, 5 to 10 acres of land, which they own. And on it is the fixed revenue. Now, revenue also changes. They do 3 things to revenue which completely transform the way it had been formerly collected. The British want a fixed amount of revenue on a fixed amount of land. And this fixity, they used to call it 30-year settlement, 15-year settlement. At least for that period of time, the revenue would not change. What was it based on? It was based on the average crop of the last 4 or 5 years. Now you know that no year is average. Sometimes the monsoon comes, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it causes a flood, sometimes there's a drought. Sometimes it's just very, very good, and sometimes it is very, very bad. So, but if your revenue is fixed, you've got to pay that, whether you have the money or not. The second fixity, there are 3 fixities. The second fixity was that you will pay it on a certain date. And they fixed 2 dates. For the Rabi crop, it was the 30th of March. For the Kharif, it was the 30th of March. For the Rabi, it was the 30th of September. On those 2 dates, you, the peasant who owns that piece of paper, which has given him title to his land, he has to go to the tehsil office, meaning to the district office, which may be miles away, maybe 3 days away from his village, but he has to be there on that date with the fixed revenue to pay. And he no longer can pay it in grain or goods that he makes. He has to pay it in coin because they bring in monetization. The British said monetization. Bring coin, and our coin, not your Ranjit Singh's coin, or bring gold or silver. We'll make that into coin. But you have to pay in bullion or currency. Now, this is going to create havoc